I just think it's a good wake up call for everybody to take
a
second look.
They're hitting people they're vulnerable, and they only got to be right once. So,
and especially with AI now, in order for ease of use, you're going to want to integrate. And so you got to keep all your information separate and walled off in whatever way. And if you don't know if it is, you need to take the time to learn. All right, welcome back to Expandable. Want to get your take on something. I have a video here for you to watch. Check it out.
Let's do it.
The business professional leader saw a job opportunity that was aligned with their career path. They clicked on the job opportunity. They clicked on the company and the interviewer to check the legitimacy of it and to see if it's something they really wanted to pursue. Once they aligned on it's legitimate, I want to pursue it, they clicked on the quick apply via LinkedIn, automatically applied for the job. Several days later, they get an email from the correspondent from the organization saying you've been approved for, an interview candidate. What's a good day and time to align on? They align on a day and time. At the very end of the email correspondence, they let the business professional know that we will send you a link for the meeting the day of the meeting. The day before the meeting, they follow up with the business professional and they let them know is still a good time to meet tomorrow. Business professional says yes. They immediately send them a link the next morning. The time for the meeting, the business professional clicks on the link for the meeting, nothing happens. They click on the link again, nothing happens, but something happens. Looks like it tried to open up the meeting from their perspective. Reach out to the organization, the correspondent, and say, hey, I'm not able to get in the meeting. They say, hey, we're having some technical difficulties. Let me send you a new link. They send them a new link. The new link actually lets them into the Google meeting. They're in the lobby of the Google meeting for several minutes. No one shows up. They reach out to the correspondent again and they said, hey, no one's showing up to the meeting. It's still a good time. Everything okay? That's when the correspondent from the organization tells them, we're having some technical difficulties in our entire building. Can we reschedule? Fast forward to a week and a half. In the mail, they get from 401k company, which is Charles Schwab in this case, a payment receipt for their entire 401k paid out to a legitimate bank, but it's not their bank. They immediately reach out to Charles Schwab and said, hey, what's happening here? I didn't authorize this. I didn't approve it. The 401k provider does their due diligence. They circle back with the business professional and said, hey, this happened on your machine. Business professional starts to think through it and like, I didn't authorize this, so it could happen on my machine. Through the dialogue and the conversation, they start to realize the only thing that happened in a unique way was the job interview that I went to.
Good.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a wild story.
I mean, that happens every single day.
It's crazy.
I've seen ones that are even way more sophisticated that, a podiatrist lost 401k and they were wiring out of their 401ks and had taken over their phone and had masked back the callback procedures. So I'm glad they're posting that, but it's there on LinkedIn. You've got to check it out because LinkedIn is not verifying anybody on that platform whatsoever. They're not verifying any company. They're just taking whatever ad revenue whatsoever. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I don't even look on LinkedIn. I'll follow like one or two people on there for their content. But, as a professional looking for it's saturated.
Yeah. This reminds me of terrorists in their actions and how it used to be very sophisticated and then they went back analog where they started using cassette tapes and things that were not digitized because it was easier you could just pass it hand to hand. It makes me think about that because what this is it's not a new crime, like it's not a new way.
No.
Like in terms of they're getting access to his computer. It's almost like they got.
And what they didn't show on that is I'm sure a couple of the things before had marks. They were looking at the URL and taking it offline. So I'm sure there was some nuances of the emails and things that you could have picked out when you're looking at. But overall, you're gun-ho looking for a job. Now somebody's interested in you and they have that purpose. And yes, you've got to have that all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, even in our position, constantly we get fed stuff and people looking for businesses and vendors left and right, even vendors that even have some credibility out there. they're not immune to steal from you either.
Yeah, to me, this is very sophisticated because not of the technology they use, but in the way that they kind of reverse engineered the psychology. Instead of if I'm a scammer, I'm thinking like how else can I get in touch with people to get their money?
It's the same thing as you're selling something on Facebook. You're selling something.
Yeah, instead of like coming up with a better technology to hack, they're like, well, let's just hack what people already want and use old technology.
Right in their comfort zone is where they get them, or they're least expecting.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because, how do you protect yourself from every comfort zone, because there's probably 20 of those different things in our life, like looking for a job where you're vulnerable. And, here's this person who's out of a job, probably looking for a job,
I would think,
money.
If they got in their computer, they would have gotten their email, and then you would hope if they change the email, then there was a notification, and then you should get a email to another email that says, hey, this email had coming in. I mean, when you get those from your Gmail account or your account, we all need to be responsible adults now. And, when you've got that notification from Gmail, I mean, abundance of caution, you go in there and change that password and lock things down and keep things separate. But, once again, when you're ultimately you're a professional, you need to keep your private things completely away from your social.
That's where I was headed.
Everybody's talking, get 2 separate computers.
Yeah.
Don't even ever deal with it.
That point,
You're at that point. It's going to hit you in every single way. You just have to keep it separate. And I mean, I just had the other day, a text scam come through on me, and it embedded in the same thread of a friend that had texted me 4 days before.
Oh, interesting.
And so it texts through, and it wasn't them. And what it was an old phone number that got recycled from years before, but was still in my contact. And then when this fake text came through, it went in the exact same thread.
Yeah, because you had that on your phone,
and then
it didn't go away. Yeah,
something came up. I was like, oh, this isn't you. So I ended up emailing him and said, hey, what's going on? Then he called, and Paul was going through the numbers on it, deleted that number. It came out of the text.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. The abundance of caution piece on the front end, like what emails are you opening, links you're clicking, be very, very cautious about all that side. The other side of it's probably more important, and that is keeping your personal financial information, your account, passwords, all of that stuff as far away from all of your comfort.
Everywhere you go. I mean,
texting, email,
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, every one of those social sharing sites, they're not validating anybody who's going on there.
Right.
They're not.
Yeah.
So
that's why there's all these software as a service companies that we were in this situation like maybe a year ago. I was just kind of pulling my hair out in terms of keeping track of invoices and payments and all the different things that you deal with accounting in your business. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I started looking, and I found there's lots of companies that you can plug all your information into this company, and it will handle all this stuff for you. And now with AI, it's even more easy to do.
Yeah, and I set that up to a little bit, but then I don't like to give them to. I don't want to link my other accounts to them because I've got them siloed. So the best thing is you silo everything as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, or just do it manually. Take the extra time, because what's the time worth in the long run if you're, in this case, lose your whole 401k, right? I mean, in this case, if we break this down, this guy is using Charles Schwab, and so
was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
okay.
And he's got a portal, or a login to his account, and then there's a lot of negligence that happened on the back end. I'm saying from my perspective that Charles Schwab was trying to get in touch with him and say, hey, is this really you or whatever? But the guy intercepted the emails and acted as him. So that's very troubling, because now you've got, he got screwed in every angle. You know what I mean? Like from the LinkedIn side, from the email side, from the Charles Schwab side, to having his stuff on his computer. I mean, like, it was just a perfect storm for him. And so I think this is a great thing to be talking about, because including myself,
that's going to hurt all the hiring.
Everybody has to
the hiring on LinkedIn. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But I mean,
well, it happened.
I mean, look at that. I mean, if it was a normal Zoom or Meet, you got to watch out. Here's our meeting room.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody has they're using the top 3. If it's not on Zoom, Meet, Teams.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's a good wake up call for everybody to take
it
a
is,
second
but
look
they're
at
hitting
stuff.
people they're vulnerable, and they only got to be right once. So,
and especially with AI now, AI is a natural thing that you're going to want in order for ease of use. You're going to want to integrate, and so you got to keep all your information separate and walled off in whatever way. And if you don't know if it is, you need to take the time to learn.
Correct.
Because otherwise,
you need to manage things. You don't have it all in one, and you separate. You got to diversify. Correct.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is kind of scary. I think for the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, like it's such a outlier of a story.
I mean, it goes back to masked websites. I mean, there's plenty of websites that mask exactly, what you're trying to do that look legitimate. Like,
and emails too. But I mean, from your world, I'm sure you see this kind of stuff all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, with dealing with fraud.
No, and customers, they do have responsibility to maintain their, their passwords and keep everything up to date. But likelihood the average person doesn't.
Yeah.
They're not going to update the antivirus on their computer, and they use it for everything. Everybody in the household's on it.
Yeah.
Maybe they just leave it on for hours and turn it off, and slow, and that is going to happen. It's going to pray.
Yeah.
So when you start building significant reserves, you got to be an adult and silo things off and separate them. Because you will get compromised at some point.
Yes.
100%. So you have to reduce the damages.
Yeah. That's the key is like, if this is the first time you are hearing about something like this, that scares you, or you haven't been hacked, or something has not happened to you, it's going to happen at some point. So, take the time to be diligent. It's just the era we live in right now. We just live in this world where you have to be diligent and like you said, an abundance of caution on the front end as much as you can. Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're susceptible to all kinds of hacks and scams.
I hope he gets his money.
Yeah, me too. All right, on to the next one.